Welcome to the Mommy Mentor Podcast. This parenting bullshit is hard, am I right? From sleepless nights with newborns to sleepless nights with teens, from potty training to sending them off to college, I'm here to get you through it all as your mommy mentor. My name is Erin Kennedy-Heldt, and I'm a registered nurse and a mom of 3. I have professional experience with moms and babies as a postpartum nurse, which keeps the postpartum and newborn experience fresh in my mind. And I have 17 years of parenting experience as well. For information on this podcast and more, go to mommymentorpodcast.com. Parents, grab a cup of whatever you prefer and settle in for the next episode. Hello, everyone. This is Casey Weiss, certified holistic nutritionist. You have seen her here before. She is amazing, and she also is a new mama. He's older now, but still new mama. And she is actually my nutrition coach. So how about that? I hired her like almost immediately after the interview. So this podcast episode, we're going to flip the script and Casey's going to ask me the questions, because then you can kind of see how it went and why it's so useful to have someone like Casey in your life and that kind of thing.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I know it was like we had such a great rapport, honestly, together and I wasn't expecting, like, on email from you, like, hey, I actually think I want to work with you. So I know I'm asking the questions. I don't normally do this, but like fun to be in the seat now. So I'd love to kind of start off with, can you like describe where you were with your body and your relationship with food before we started working together?
Sure. So as all women, especially I'm a millennial age, and that was like the Victoria's Secret angel phase, right? And low-waisted jeans and all of that. So, you know, like,
oh, those are back now, which is to my horror.
I know. I'm like, no. But it was just like, that was the body standard. And not that I ever strived for that, because I knew I would never look like that, and that was fine with me. But I always just wanted to look my best and what I felt was my best. And I noticed, in the last year, I had taken a desk job as a nurse. And I don't know if there's any nurses listening, because if you have ever gone from the floor to a desk job, I mean, I've seen it over and over again in some coworkers. The minute you go to a desk job, you're gaining weight. And it's not, like, maybe you didn't change anything in your life, but you're just doing a lot less and you don't really realize it. But for me, my eating habits to begin with weren't super great, as we all know. And eating things and like knowing I needed to do better, but not having really the tools to do it. And so I was just in a space where it was like I wasn't super comfortable in my body. I had gained some weight, and it wasn't really, honestly, yes, it's about looks, but it was more so about comfort. Like, I just wasn't comfortable. And I knew also that I wasn't taking care of myself to the best that I could, ability that I could. And I also knew that I didn't really know how to take care of myself, because, I mean, just growing up in the Midwest, it's a meat and a potatoes and a vegetable. That's what you eat. And there's no real talk of like colors of the rainbow and etc. like that. You get a Flintstones vitamin and you're good to go. And so I just didn't really know what to do. And after our conversation on the podcast, I was like, well, this seems a lot different, because I've seen a dietitian, like a healthcare field type registered dietitian, right? And they tell you what to do, but they don't really tell you how to do it. And when you're changing something like what you're eating, that's a big deal, because what we eat is such a big part of our day and our life, that changing that habit and changing everything we eat, and I didn't change everything I ate, but like changing things and the way that you do things around food, like how to just everything, because I didn't have a routine. I didn't have any way to do things. And I knew I needed someone to help me. And I knew I had seen a dietitian
Mm.
through a healthcare, setting, and that they told me what to do, but they didn't necessarily tell me how to do it.
Mhm.
And it was
Mhm.
like, I need help though on how to do it because I will do it. I just don't know what to do. So that's where
Yeah.
you came in. And after our conversation, I was like, I think she could probably work out. I think she knows what she's talking about. Like I feel like, especially because I knew and had learned about your program, like you're there for months, you know, and that is so much different than going to see a dietitian a few times. Um, and the availability. I had told my best friend about you. She's like, you can get that through a healthcare setting. And I was like, mm. But the thing is like I could message her whenever I wanted. And sometimes she'd be available and sometimes she wouldn't be, but most of the time she was. And honestly, I didn't always expect a response. I was like, but also she was there for me to say the most unhinged things. Like, because this is a hard process and
Yeah.
like I can do the voice memo and just be like, I am losing it, and know that you're there and it's someone to like coach you through the process, but it's also someone to be supportive and someone to give you like the tips and what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I like laugh when you say unhinged, but it's we also know that there's a lot of things that aren't laughing worthy that happen. And it's, with everyone throughout this process. And that is why I've designed my programs the way that they are, why they have the structure that they do, and also have the flexibility that they do, because I know from my personal experience, like, yeah, I saw a dietitian too. And it was like great that she gave me some skills, but I was not supported when I felt like I needed it most. And when you then get that support when you need it most and in that real time, that's when the real change is able to be made.
Mm-hmm.
So, you say that you talking with me and like seeing something as like a different way or whatever, that was inspired you to like potentially work with me. But I'm curious, like, if you could be a little bit more specific, because I mean, you're a nurse, you're educated in health. Like, why do you feel like what really resonated with you that was like, you wanted to work with me? Like, what made you pull the trigger,
I
so to
mean,
speak?
well, let's all be honest. I'm not gonna lie. It was, I knew I had gained weight and I knew I wasn't
Hmm.
comfortable in my body. So like that was a primary reason. But I also knew like I am 41 years old and I will be 42 in December and I'm getting older and I don't want to like, and you guys, I work on an oncology floor right now and I'm not saying like, oh, you're gonna get cancer because you ate this or whatever. But what I'm saying is you just are more interested in taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm getting old and I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm getting older and things are changing in my body too. And I'm noticing that like I uh, think I'm like body composition is different. And even like just the things that my body is capable, I'm noticing of are a little different.
Hmm.
And it's like I want to take care of myself so that I can be around and healthy, like I want most of my years on this planet to be quality ones too, not just be like here.
Hmm.
And I knew, what I was eating was not really that supportive of that.
Hmm.
And I also knew I didn't know how to support my body properly because I didn't know enough about. And honestly, when you said protein, fat, fiber in the episode that we recorded, I was like, that sounds pretty easy. And honestly, it is. So it's just like recognizing how to do that
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
what's enough and what's really important. And like I knew that just having you to teach me really what is like good for me to eat really, because
Hmm.
but like I don't like everything, I'm not a huge like vegetable fan. I'm not, and like big surprise, a girl likes bread. But you showed me how to like, okay, what do you like to eat already? And how can we like improve that or change it up a little bit so it has more protein or so it has more fiber? stuff that doesn't, like the protein pancakes. I just made them this morning. And you know why I made them? You know why, Casey? I made them because we're going on vacation on Saturday. And I said, I'm gonna have this ready to go for breakfast for the week after my vacation for work.
We love that.
And you know what, guys?
Taking care of
That's
future you.
all because of Casey. Yeah, taking care of future me. Yeah. So, and this is the change you get when you work with Casey. It's not just about the foods you eat, but it's also like mental game too. It's not, when you have the tools, it's not that hard.
But at first it felt hard. I know
it
was
felt
like
so hard. I was like, I want the apple fritter every day though. Why?
And it's it takes a little bit of time, not that long, but it takes a little bit of time, for you to start, like me, to look at what you're eating, improve some things, and then you start to feel better. You have better, I know you had better energy. You were feeling
Totally. satisfied
for
hours.
longer. And one thing though that you were like harping on earlier when you were saying is like you got to a deeper why. Like, yes, you were uncomfortable with your body, but that was something that I know we really had to work on. It's like getting to that deeper why, because when you have that motivates you a lot more than just like, I want the scale to decrease because it's not going to happen every day. And so you need to have a deeper why there. And that's something that we worked on together. We workshopped together. We got more to the root there. So, but beyond that, what do you think are some other reasons why like working with someone and like getting help is important? Because I know, especially like we can really be in our high horse, especially if we're like, I'm a strong, independent woman, like, and almost like it's a badge of honor.
Right.
So what would you say to someone who is like, can just figure it out on my own. Like, I don't need to pay for someone else. Like, now having paid for someone else, right? And like having that perspective, what would you say to that person, or even past you, who just allowed herself to struggle for probably more than you needed to?
Just like, you need help. It's not hard. It's okay to need help, firstly. And secondly, what we eat is such a huge part of our life, like I already said. And you grow up like this, people. Why do you think like it's so hard for you to change it, Diet Coke. And I told her, you're not going to take that away from me. But
I didn't. We made some adjustments here and there, but we didn't take it out.
It's caffeine free. But so you grow up a certain way and you just, it's the way it is, and it's almost like, and especially if you're still in an environment of the nature that you grew up in, like my husband doesn't love vegetables, my kids don't love vegetables, so it's like I had to almost parent myself and like sneak stuff into foods and learn how to do that to the where it would be something I could tolerate and not maybe even notice. And having someone, because I don't know, I don't like cooking also is the other thing. So having you be able to point out, this is an easy thing for you to do, so you're prepped for breakfast every day. This is an easy thing for you to do, so you're prepped for lunch every day. And then like, what are you going to do for dinners? And here's some different options. And like, you can make this and you can freeze this, and like, oh shit meals, and sending me examples of like what's a proper frozen meal, like that it has a lot of protein, a lot of fiber, you're good to go. And maybe it's not the best thing in the world, but it's better than not eating anything or than eating crap. And the other thing is like, I knew that not eating breakfast is not probably smart. And so I didn't believe you. You were like, you're going to be eventually hungry for breakfast. I was like, no, you're a liar. But then I was, because I thought I was just always nauseous in the morning, mainly until like a couple hours had gone by, and then I was ready to eat. But then after changing my eating habits and taking in proper nutrient amounts, my body was changing to the point where it was like, oh, in the morning we do want more of that. And I was hungry in the morning for breakfast, and it was like, now it's like changed my whole life. Like, really it has, because like, you're in my head It's like, I have to eat
I have to
breakfast.
say that every client tells me that. It's like they pass working with me, they're like, "You're still in my head." I'm like, "You're
You
welcome."
are. It's crazy. It's like, and it's almost like the person that, my app person that I work out, Amanda Klutz, she's in my head too, as far as body movement. It's like you move your body because you can. You do it. It doesn't matter. Do
Mhm.
it. And like you're in my head in so many ways. It's like you have to eat breakfast before you drink coffee, and I love coffee, so I'm definitely gonna have to just at least eat some breakfast.
Mhm.
So, and you taught me ways to like, okay, so you're in a pinch. What are you gonna do about that? You know, you need to eat a breakfast before you can have your coffee. What are you gonna do about that? And
Mhm.
so now I know like high protein things to grab. For example, we went to the pool the other day because it was my son's birthday, and I really wanted to get a nice coffee on the way home because I had just been at the pool with two boys. And so I was like, but I haven't eaten in a while. I am kind of hungry. So where do I go? I go to Target. I'm like, there's a Starbucks here. And I'm like, boop, boop, boop. And I go get myself a 20-gram protein yogurt, eat that bad boy, and then I have my coffee. It's ridiculous in my head. You know, it's like that habit. And then, you know, like when you're hungry, you think, you know, like, oh, I could skip this meal and it'll be better for you as far as like your aesthetic goals. You're not right. You're wrong. Like you're wrong. And I thought so, like I thought what you thought, you know, eating less, you know, it's math, it's in versus out. But I'm going to tell you, as I'm getting older, it's especially as I'm getting older, because the in versus out thing used to work, right? And doing the math and like doing the MyFitnessPal and the you know, balancing just literally calories and that's it, not paying attention to anything else was it did work for my weight loss goals for a while, but now it's like I knew that wasn't sustainable because it's not, and I also knew it wasn't working well for my health,
Mhm.
you know, it just wasn't. And I knew that it also wasn't working because I had gained weight, like I said, and I wanted
Mhm.
to lose the weight. So I was back to the math, you know, and it didn't work and it wasn't working and I was like frustrated, you know, and not having the tools and then like also emotionally eating hello because you're upset that things are not going well. And I am an emotional eater. I used to say I like in nursing school, I ate my feelings, which I did. I sure did. I gained like 30 pounds in nursing school, ridiculous.
Mhm.
Um, and so I know that I have that problem too. And so being able to sort that out, you know, and being able to recognize, you know, okay, yeah, you can go have your meal, your meal that you love to have, and it's an indulgence meal. Like it's not something that's like super great for you, but you love it. You can go have that, you know, but like let's talk about the rest of the time. You know, like let's talk about how to get the rest. And it wasn't about don't, it wasn't like talk about the rest of the time like you ate bad, so now you have to eat good, you know, it
Mhm.
wasn't like that. It was more so like, okay, you got these nutrients, now you need these nutrients. What are you going to eat for the rest of the day
Yeah.
or the rest of the week or whatever? And so just like learning so much information about food and nutrition and you know, we're not counting, you know, like we say we're not counting, but like learning what's a proper amount of protein, what's a proper amount of fiber. I didn't know these things.
Yeah.
And us girls, we suck at getting protein usually until you
Yes.
get the tools. Who knew you could put protein powder in pancake batter? Not me. So, yeah, and like healthy snacks like the peanut butter banana bars, those are scrumptious, you know, just like learning things. It's like learning new habits, learning new, it's ways to live. It's like literally reframing your entire relationship with food, which is
Mhm.
honestly a large relationship. You have a large relationship with food in
One of
one
your
way or
longest standing
yes,
relationships,
one
if
way or
not most.
yeah, like one way or the other. We all have to eat, you know.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and so having someone to teach me all the things and also be there for the emotional piece of it, because it is hard. And I am an emotional eater, and let's face it, also life isn't perfect. And so the stress happens, and you're there for that too, because you're an emotional support, and you can, be there for me. So I'm like, okay, tone it down. You're not going to go
Yeah.
eat your face off because of this,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, it was like a whole ball of wax. How people, in healthcare, we say it's a whole person, right? Spiritual, mental, physical, all of it, right? And that's what it is. That's why you're a holistic nutritionist, because you're there for the whole person, recognizing that it is all of it combined. It's not
Hmm.
just a physical thing, because you're taking care of a physical being.
And so often we think about it all in silos. And what would you say to someone that thinks it's just a food problem? Because I mean, you're harping on this, right? Like you're
Yeah, it's
holistic and
not.
whatever, and like we also know, like we're not going to get into the numbers. I don't think this is helpful, but you lost weight working with me.
Mhm,
You've improved really like all the things without us counting the calories, without us whatever. Obviously, like we had goals and other focuses, and I make depending on the client, like there's different things that we're going to use as metric of success, and also different things that we're going to utilize as like, especially for someone who's so rooted in diet culture and you're someone who is used to counting calories, like that can almost feel safe to you. So we need to help you. Like, how can you count something else maybe, or like
mhm,
track something else to make you kind of feel safe,
mhm.
and to be able to give you some structure, some framework
Yeah,
without it getting into that diet culture
right.
mindset, whatever. But yeah, what would you say to someone who's like, it's not, I don't need someone like Casey. I just need to like cut out all sugar, or I just need to like be good for a month and then I'll be good. And then like I can go back to normal eating, right? Like what would you say now as an enlightened version of yourself? What would you say to someone who has that type of mindset?
I do hear it. I hear it sometimes from just everyone. Anyone says that. Like, God, my coworkers, my friends, like, and not, lately, not so much my friends, because I think we're all being a lot more gentle with ourselves, but it was
Mm-hmm.
always like, yeah, I'm just gonna cut carbs and I'll be fine. Or yeah, I'm just gonna not, or I can't eat that. And I'm like, why? Like somebody said that in front of me the other day. I can't eat that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, why? Why? Why can't you eat
Yeah.
it? Like, eat
Yeah.
it. Have a bite. It's not the end of the world, and you don't have to eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Life is about enjoying things, and you are not just a physical body. You are a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual, emotional creature,
Mm-hmm.
and there are emotions around food, and sometimes spiritual practices around food,
Yep.
and you have that relationship with food, and it's not as simple as I'm just not going to eat that,
Mm-hmm.
because if you just don't eat that, you're eventually going to like go off the rails and eat the crap out of it, and
Yep.
then be upset with yourself because you
Mm-hmm.
have sat here and denied yourself over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, it's like it is not the end of the world for you to have like a little bit of chocolate like every day. Like if your thing is chocolate, figure out a way to do it so it's not like me in the I turned, like, okay, I like me some sweets before I go to bed. What can I eat that's not the worst thing in the world, but it is involving something sweet? Oh, raspberries, which I freaking love, and chocolate chips. Okay. So like that's just a good alternative for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
finding an alternative, or being able to be like, I'm just going to have a bite and then walk away, and that kind of thing. And it's you need the taste of it, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
Mm-hmm.
walk away. You don't have to eat the whole thing, because guess what? You can have more later. If you
Yep.
don't eat it all right now, you get to have it later. That future self, like, oop, treat for you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, putting that all, like getting into that mindset, it wasn't, there's that scarcity mindset of like, oh, I got to eat it now because it's here.
Yep.
And a lot of us in my generation were raised in that whole clean plate club. So it was like, you eat it now because it's here.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, why do you have to eat it right now? You could save it for later.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, It's just so many things, and it's the feelings, and you can't just put away the I'm not going to eat that, or I don't eat bread. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't eat bread? Bread's great. You got to eat bread. Like, unless you have like an actual physical issue,
Yeah.
I get that, but or like I can't, I can't eat like bagels one day. I can't eat that. And I'm like, why? You
Mhm.
know, just eat a reasonable amount.
But if you had told that to yourself, I know when we started, you'd be like, you would have said, I can't
I
eat a
can't.
reasonable amount, And so it's like having someone to support you to show you the tools, because the reason why you now can eat in moderation is, yes, you have a mindset change because there's always more, that you're not in scarcity, you're not out of diet, but also because you're fueling yourself more properly. And as a result of you fueling yourself more
Yes.
properly, your hormones, your cravings, your blood sugar are more balanced in a way that allows you to be able to eat in that way.
Yes.
Now, we have not been working together for, I think, around 2 months now. You graduated, so to speak. So I would love for you to tell me, tell the audience, like, I would love to hear about some of the physical. Now, you don't need to get into specifics, but what are like the physical and non-physical wins and like accomplishments that you made working with me, and what has been able to be maintained even though we have not been working together for the past few months?
Sure. I think I've talked a lot about the mental change and like how you're in my head, and the habits are just different. It's just different. Like the way I eat, it's not completely different because I don't eat different, like a bunch of different stuff, like I look at the pictures of your meals that you post on Instagram and I'm like, that's so nice for you.
And
But it's
everyone who
not.
knows you I've had multiple people who are interested. I always do like initial consults, and they're like, well, I don't like this. I see you post this. I'm like, you don't
You
understand.
don't have to eat that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not how I work. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. It's like, what do you already like to eat? And so having like a what do you already like to eat and being taught how to change it up so that it has like proper nutrients, and like learning about those nutrients and how many of them I need and etc. And yeah, you're in my head and that's lasting. That's definitely still here, and it's by now a lifestyle because it's just ingrained in me to have to eat before I have coffee.
Hmm.
To have to eat breakfast, don't skip breakfast. So, the morning of the girls' graduation, I was like, oh, I don't know, I have time for this. What can I do? And I grabbed a yogurt with 20 grams of protein and a cheese stick and threw some raspberries in the yogurt. I was like, let's go.
Yep.
And so it was like I got this under control for a hot minute. I can do you know, I can't walk out of that house, without eating breakfast. I can't do it. Um, and so that is lasting, and I'd say that is almost more important than the physical wins.
Hmm.
Because feeling like that and having that mentality and knowing how to do it, like how to fuel your body properly and also eat the things that you enjoy,
Hmm.
um, is a big deal.
Yeah.
Huge. And I'd say
Hmm.
that like that's the biggest deal. And then as a bonus, because I'm learning how to eat and take care of my body better, I lost a little bit of weight, and
And
for
not just
me,
we were not going to get to numbers, but it wasn't just a little, like,
well,
especially
it's
for your
enough.
body frame and your goals. Yes, it's enough.
Yeah, because I'm short. So it's enough. And like we're still not there yet. And like that is something else I will say because it's July and we started working together, I think, end of January.
Hmm.
And I'm not mad about that we're still not where I want to be because I know we're going to get there and I'm
Hmm.
doing it. And you know how we always just want the quick fixes, you know, but I'm aware that it's working fine. We're going in the right direction. It's all going to be fine. I'm doing it the way that my body can handle and is good for my
Yeah.
body, not in a way that's like going to stress my body, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
So it's good for my health, my physical health as well.
Yeah.
So, and sleep, like I feel, like throughout the day, I'm a little less tired than I used to be. I think I'm chronically tired just because hello life. But I will be honest, in the mornings, I am not as tired as I used to be because I'm not grabbing the coffee because I already ate breakfast and now I'm having the coffee just because I want the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And It's very different. It's like, yeah, it's not a quick fix, but you've been sustainably making progress and progress and progress and feeling better and better and better
Hmm.
versus like losing more weight and then going back up, lose like it's been, consistent, which has shown you that it's not coming back and creeping back up.
Hmm.
And also how your health and lifestyle is improving there. And I mean, one question I have for you is like, what surprised you about working with me? And I feel like part of it is also um, that it wasn't that you had to be perfect. It was, finding how we could be able to find food that you already enjoy and be able to have that work within your lifestyle, how your mindset was affecting your eating behaviors. Is there anything else that comes up to you about what surprised you about working with me?
Just I think how easy it really is to, sneak vegetables into stuff, really, you know,
Yeah.
because I don't like them, right? We've discussed this. And so sneaking them into stuff that like chili, putting in the lentils in the chili. And I know that's not exactly a vegetable, but like putting like I love chili, but I'm not normally putting lentils in the chili. But if you do, guess what? You can't taste them, it doesn't matter. They taste like chili. And
Hmm.
then I made the veggie lasagna that one time and it was like a whole bunch of vegetables in there. And because it has the cheese and the sauce and the noodles, like it's just lasagna, you know? And so it was kind of that honestly surprised me because I was like, ah, crap. Like, I am not ready to meal prep. I am not ready to, like, you know what everybody thinks when they start working with a nutritionist. I'm going to have to do all the meal prepping and the vegetables and the fruit and I'm going to eat this, you know, and really it's not that at all. Like, it's what
Hmm.
do you already like to eat? What can what can we do with that? How can we
Yeah.
work that out? And for me, like teaching me ways to get protein in ways that were easy for me and also, I guess, satisfactory to my lifestyle.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And so that and like vegetables too, because like nobody struggles eating bread or potatoes. I do not. And so getting the carbs and the fat was never an issue. But like I don't know anything about protein and getting more protein without, oh, it's just meat, it's just eggs. But like learning about how you can make eggs and just put a little bit of egg whites in there. I didn't even know they had egg whites in a carton before I started working with you. What? So like, and like the grocery shopping, like how you would literally be like, hey, this is your store. Where do you shop? And like pull up stuff that's at my store and send me the link and go get this. And that was surprising too, because it was like I was just ready for the whole thing to be like, ah, Christ, it's gonna be like a whole change your life, you know.
Hmm.
But it wasn't a change your life. It was a change your life, but not in a way that is like horrible and not sustainable, you know.
Yeah.
So that was surprising, but it was also like after working with you for a while, it was like not surprising. Do you know what I mean? It was like, oh,
Hmm.
this is duh, this is how she's different.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, it is like my clients are, as I mean, from marketing, they're definitely not just like a number. It's not just a one size fits all. And that's why I'm passionate about doing one-on-one or small or very small like partner coaching, because that's why I see so many women continuing to feel like they're failing. And it's because they're trying to do this one size fits all approach. It doesn't work for them. It doesn't get to the actual root. And as a result, they just think that they're the problem when it's not that. It's just we need to realize that we're unique and our individual needs are going to be different. So finding something that works for our
Hmm.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
My final, I mean, I could ask you questions all day, but my final question, I think, to like wrap things up, would be, how has changing your relationship with food and your health affected other aspects of your life?
I think I feel more in control of
Hmm.
like because like when stressful things happen, I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna go eat all the things. Um, I definitely want to do that, and I'm not saying like I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna go for a walk and I'm fine. Smell the flowers. No, I'm not saying that at all, but like I
Yeah.
have ways to like I'm not like, oh my God, I gotta eat, you know? Like so the mental game has shifted enough
Hmm.
to where I can control myself in those moments better. Not
Hmm.
all the time because no one's perfect, but better, you know?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna go and have Texas Roadhouse, maybe I'm eating some rolls, but I'm not eating 17 of them. You know, I'm like, it's like, okay, it's a reasonable amount. This is a reasonable amount. Go ahead, but it's a reasonable amount, you know? So just not being able to not go off the rails has been a very huge thing.
And because the thing is that in doing so, if you went off the rails, it was emotionally affecting you and the way you showed up in other areas of your life. And so it was a reflection of that all or nothing potentially in other areas of your life too.
Yes.
And realizing it can be possible with food.
Yeah, because if you go F it and you just go eat your face off, like that's not a healthy mentality, because then you're gonna be like that with other things. Like, oh, well, this already happened, so F it, and I'm gonna screw up the rest of this day or whatever. No, it doesn't have to, you don't have to screw up the day, you don't have to screw up the meal. You don't have to make yourself feel bad about food.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing though, and it's really hard for people to realize they don't have to make themselves feel bad about food. And that making themselves feel bad about food is counterproductive. Now, I'm not saying, the thing though is it's not like I just want you, if you overate and you feel gross, like I don't want you to just be like, okay, it's whatever. We want to like, why did this happen? Like, how can we not make this happen in the future, but then also not make it be bigger than it needs to be? Because in that way, then again, we get down this more slippery slope. We have more of that guilt and shame. And we think that guilt and shame is going to result in us then not making that behavior decision in future, but that's really not what ends up happening. And we continue down these same cycles. And so breaking that cycle can be really effing hard. And I went down the same cycle, and that is what it was, me breaking free of that and then going back to my education, what allowed me to then be in this position. I'm not this like nutritionist who's always been perfect. Like I think that's why what makes me unique too, is like I've been through all the different phases of life and of eating. And so I can feel where my clients are. And so I'm always like, let's make this realistic. Like, would I like you to be drinking water right now instead of Diet Coke? Yeah, like, and you know that, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person for drinking the Diet Coke. And that doesn't mean that you can't have it. It's like, how can we be able to prioritize our worth it for indulgences? How can we work within your lifestyle? The thing is like, the goal is to make you happier and healthier together, and the mental and the physical health work together. And we are doing a disservice to ourselves if we're neglecting that and that fact.
I agree. We have less than 1 minute in the Zoom, Casey.
Well, I said that was my last. I didn't even know that, and this was my last question. So
nailed
look at me, I'm so well timed.
Well, thank you so much.
Of course,
Mommy Mentor audience, that was Casey Weiss, certified holistic nutritionist. You can find her website at 𝑦𝒑𝒂𝒈𝒓𝒂𝒎.com, or you can find her on Instagram at 𝑦𝒑𝒂𝒑𝒂𝒑. She is amazing. She's a really great person. I got to know her as well, and she's a very nice human. And she helped me with so many things, and I cannot even put into words how thankful I am that she came into my life when she did, and that she helped me learn the things that I did learn and helped me change habits in my life. And I would highly recommend working with her. It's so much more than, as I've said, the whole 40 minutes, it's so much more than just food. It's a lot. It's a whole package wrapped into one. You're dealing with emotions, mental challenges, physical challenges, learning the whys as to why you're just so hungry at the end of the day and how to help that. It's just so many things. She's a genius. You got to go check out her website at the minimum. And if you'd like to check out my website, please do. It's mommymentorpodcast.com. Also, you can find me on Instagram at @mymommymentor, TikTok, same thing, @mymommymentor, and you can find my YouTube channel as well. And I would appreciate hearing from you, your feedback on this episode or several others. This is a very special episode. It is our year episode. I released the first episode of the Mommy Mentor a year ago. So I'm really looking forward to more audience interaction in this next year. Come on with me for the next year. It's going to be a fun ride. Have a good whatever time of day you're listening, mommies.